What is good, everybody? Welcome to another live show with your boy Stevie B here at Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. Big game yesterday, obviously. Crazy how everything ended with the call at the end. I know a lot of people are getting really upset over the call. But, I mean, listen, to be honest, I mean, ever since I was growing up, it's always been, can only control what you can control. So don't let it come to, the referees. Don't let the game come down to, the referees making a call. They had Jalen Hurts had the fumble. They gave up the big punt return to Tony. They basically couldn't do anything in the second half, the Eagles. They were kind of shut down in the second half there. So, Kansas City made some sick defensive adjustments, and, Hurts wasn't able to scramble around and do what he normally does. So, got to give credits to the Chiefs there. But, I mean, look, the dude even said, hey, I held him. I didn't think they were going to call it. I thought they were going to let it slide. So, Kevin, what is good? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Caddy, what up, Caddy? My homie got me some money. Yeah. I'm sure he got a lot of people money. There was a lot of good player props for that game that wound up hitting. I think Juju's hit his catches. I think AJ Brown, Devonta, Hurts. There was a lot of people won money, and I think that that they made the lines like it wasn't even that bad to hit some of these lines. I think they just made it so that you can win some money now, so that you're just sucking you in for next year. So now when next year comes, everybody's going to be spending their money. So crazy, bro. Diesel, what up? Diesel said he's got a question here. Would you give the 103 pick and Justin Fields from a playoff team for Justin Herbert? I have Kyler and Kenny Pickett. No, I think that's too much. I'd rather keep Justin Fields and then draft either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud instead of paying up to go get Herbert. I don't think Herbert and Fields are light years apart. I would rather have Herbert, but not at the cost of the 103, not at the cost of another possible top 12 QB in, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. So I think that would be the best way to put it there. That's too much. Kev, I agree. The Eagles took off. Yeah, bro, they did. They took listen, the Chiefs came out in the second half and they made adjustments because they couldn't stop the Eagles for nothing. I mean, Eagles were just marching down the field easily. And then listen, when Jalen Hurts, that fumble return for the touchdown, that was a 14-point swing because they were at the 50. They were almost I think they were at the 50-yard line when that happened. If they go down and score that touchdown, now they're up 14. But instead, they wound up fumbling and it's a tie game, and that kind of changed everything. So crazy, man, crazy. But yeah, what do y'all think about the call? Are y'all upset like a lot of people are, or what? Catch fam in the house. What up, Catch? What is good? Caddy said picked right on every line except for one. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of doable lines there. It was 3 or more less fantasy points on one of the KC tight ends. He got 3.8. Yeah. Yep, he would have got 150. Yeah, I know a lot of people made money. Whether it was just on the game itself or if it was, some of those player props, because like I said, a lot of those were very attainable for a lot of these guys, especially when, you figured it was going to be kind of a high scoring game anyway. But yeah, that was one of the better Super Bowls. I was worried at first for Mahomes. I mean, they came out and they deferred. They decided they wanted to kick it and give the Eagles the ball first, which I was like, I mean, why the fuck we want to do that? Like, KC's defenses, they're not that good. And then to come out and just automatically be down, 7-0, I was like, damn, that might be, and then Mahomes was a little hurt on top of that. Then they, shoots up his ankle or whatever they did. I don't know what they gave him, but he wound up being able to play on it. Full PPR, what would be the better QB for next season? Mahomes or Hurts? I mean, if you're talking Dynasty, I have Mahomes as my number one QB over Hurts. When you're talking about redraft, I mean, yeah, I'm okay with going for, you want to go for the gusto, go for the high upside that Hurts has. I mean, I'm okay. I would still take Mahomes first. I still have him ranked ahead, whether it doesn't really matter. But I mean, you can't go wrong either way. I mean, Hurts is right there. Obviously, he got injured, so he missed a couple games, was injured a little bit, but that's what's going to happen with some of these rushing QBs, which is why, especially in Dynasty, just, be careful. Those rushing QBs, they don't have as much of a shelf life as these pocket guys, Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. They're going to last a lot longer than, the Lamar Jacksons and Fields and Hurts. The rushing is just such a big part of that game. And once you start getting older, it's going to start going away. I mean, we saw Russell Wilson even now. I mean, a big part of his game was getting out of the pocket, extending plays, and we saw he didn't really do a lot of that this year, and he struggled. Did that have something to do with why he struggled? That he's got to now sit in the pocket at his height, where he has a hard time already seeing over some of these huge offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and not being able to get out the pocket and do what he does best is just a little bit different. So I feel like Hurts is smart when he runs. Hurts is smart when he runs. He is a little smart when he runs, but I mean, he still takes hits. There's still going to be those chances of injury. And even though he was smart, he still got hurt, right? He still got hurt this year. So, especially, I mean, even those damn QB sneaks, they're lining up and they're going on them QB sneaks on them 4th and 1s, them 4th and goals, 3rd and goals, and just shoving Hurts in there. I mean, those are big dudes landing on them. Somebody winds up that are stepping on your ankle, but he does run a little bit smarter than, some of the other guys, but he still takes his hits, here and there. But yeah. Guys, let me know any questions you have, anything about the Super Bowl you want to throw out there. We've got 2 rosters to go over tonight. It looks like I'm alone for the night. Looks like it's me, y'all. But yeah, we got 2 rosters to go over. And before I bring up the first roster here, just throw out any kind of questions or dynasty trades or something y'all got going on before I pull up this roster and start getting into this. And as I'm going over this stuff, guys, let me know what you guys think about, the roster, or some of the things I'm saying. If you guys have any ideas, of course, throw them out there as well. I'm trying to help everybody here. But all right, let's bring up the first one here. It's going to be Sammy. So Sammy's dynasty format is a super flex league, 12 team. It is a start 10, 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, and the super flex spot. We've got draft picks. We've got the 112 and the 201. And in 2024, we've got no firsts, but we've got 2 seconds and a third. And in 2025, we've got all of our draft picks here. We've got on the taxi squad, Anthony Schwartz, Tutu Atwell, and Pierre Strong. I like Pierre Strong. I think that's a good guy to have on the taxi. The other 2 guys are meh. But that's fine. If you got him in the taxi, you're not really wasting anything there. But all right, QBs, we got Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. So this is super flex league. You have done well, my friend. You've gotten 2 top 12 quarterbacks. You could say top 7, top 8, top 6, depending how you what you think about Trevor Lawrence, but you got 2 of the best young QBs. So you got 2 top 12 QBs. That is a recipe for domination. So you've got that handled. And that's excellent. Now we look at your running backs here. We've got CMC, we've got DeAndre Swift, Chase Edmonds, Dearness Johnson, Gainwell, Zamir White, and Eno Benjamin. Wide receivers, we've got A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Cooper, Mike Williams, Ayuk, Rashard Bateman, Nico Collins, Westbrook Ekine. I don't even know how to say that. Whatever, you don't know his name. Russell Gage, Devontae Parker, and he's got Hollywood Brown. So nice. He's got some nice wide receivers here as well. Tight ends, we got T.J. Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Albert O. Looking great there with T.J. Hawk. T.J. Hawk is a top 5 dynasty tight end. I haven't completed my rankings, but he's moved up tremendously. So he's definitely in the top 5, and he's a guy that you can get for relatively cheap right now. For some reason, people don't have him valued as high as he should be, or his cost at least, for that part. But yeah, looking good there. I like this. I like this team. You've got your QB set, which is excellent. You've got your tight end set. So, I mean, you've got some nice players there, and you've got A.J. Brown and Jalen Waddle, who are 2 top 5, 6-ish dynasty wide receivers. And you've also got CMC and DeAndre Swift. So I think some of the stud players, some of the core players we got, who are the stud players we're looking at? Obviously, the QBs, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, we're not getting rid of them. We're holding on to those bad boys. A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, of course, we're holding on to them. Even Hollywood, I like as well. And then you got T.J. Hawk, of course. We're not touching him there. But everybody else can kind of be had, or you can try and combine some things and trade up. We'll go over some of those options there. What are some of the team needs? I mean, you don't really have any glaring needs right off the bat when we're looking at this. What I would like to do is just kind of consolidate some of these wide receivers and move up some tiers. But yeah, as far as team needs, I mean, maybe some running back help if we were starting the season right now, just because only going in with CMC and Swift is going to be a little bit tough. But again, we've got time to complete a running back room. Right now, what we want to do is, depending on what we have, we want to see what we can do to get this team better in the offseason to prepare us for the draft, and then prepare us for the actual start of the season where you actually have to field the team. So let's look at some of the trade pieces and some trade targets we could look into. So trade pieces are going to be, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams, Ayuk, Bateman, Hollywood, Parker, Gage, Nico Collins. I mean, CMC, Swift. These are all guys that can be traded and can be used in trade pieces. But you're pretty much right now in a win now scenario where you can go into the season with this team and compete for a championship. The thing is, you're going to be able to compete for a championship almost every year because you have Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, you have T.J. Hawkinson, so you have the advantage at those 2 positions, which are shallow as far as some of the top guys go. And then at wide receivers, you've got 2 of the top 5 dynasty wide receivers, and then you've got pretty much some top 24 guys, I guess you can say, Mike Williams, Ayuk, Hollywood. So you've got a good squad coming out. But yeah, what I would like to do is consolidate some of these wide receivers. Can we take Amari Cooper and Mike Williams, and can we trade up? Can we go and get some of these top guys? Can you look at the let me pull up my stats here. Can we go and get a St. Brown? Can we go and get a Devonta Smith? You can still try and get CD. I don't know if you get CD will be tough, but yeah, if you can give up Amari and like the 112 and go get CD, or Amari and Ayuk and one of the picks and go get CD. You can do a multiple thing with combination of things with any one of those guys, depending, what the GM likes. But yeah, you need to go after another top wide receiver. DK, T. Higgins, the Garrett Wilsons. You can even go younger as well to like the Olaves, the Drake Londons, right? You can go young as far as that is, because I mean, Drake London might be a guy that you can get, and he'll put up, what Ayuk is going to put up, but he's could possibly be an elite wide receiver 1. So couple different things like you can do. I'm going after the top guys first. Like I said, go after the St. Brown, go after the CD, go after the DK, the Higgins, the Garrett Wilsons. Jerry Jeudy's a guy I like to have as well, who is decently cheap right now, little sleeper going into next season. Really did well for, what that team did, which was nothing basically. And it can only get better. I don't think it can really get worse for Jerry Jeudy than what it was. I mean, he only had 100 targets as it was, but almost 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. So started coming along at the end. So if we can get another top-notch receiver, like I said, the St. Brown, I'm going to keep saying it, the St. Browns, the CeeDee Lambs, the DKs, the T. Higgins, the Garrett Wilsons, the Judys, the Olaves, the Drake Londons. I'm looking for all of those guys. And with some of the top guys, can I give the Amari Cooper and that 112 and go get CeeDee Lamb or St. Brown? Love to do that. And then you still got all these other options. You still got Mike Williams. You still got Ayuk. You still got Bateman. And you still got Hollywood. Again, combine those guys together. Go get another top guy. So you're just building up now your wide receiver room to be more elite and young at the same time, because you're still going to put up production where you're still going to compete. So it's not like you're getting young guys and it's going to make you not compete. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build up that wide receiver room. So this way you don't even have to, touch that. So you can, go crazy on this wide receiver room almost without even touching the running backs, because you got some good depth in that wide receiver room. Swift, CMC, I'd probably like to keep them. Swift, you're just not going to get what you want in return. I mean, if you can get like a mid-first for Swift, then, he can be gone. But I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. So I would hold on to that. And, worst comes to worst, if you don't use the picks, you just make some trades with the wide receivers that you have here. At the 112 and the 201, you could be looking at, Josh Downs, Boutte. You could be looking in that range there. Some running backs, possibly, Tucker, Bigsby, Charbonnet, depending how far these guys fall and where those guys get drafted. But those are some of the guys you'll be looking at kind of right in that range around that end of the first round there. So I think that's the way that I would look to go, because, like I said, QB and tight end, you're set. And again, you can compete right now with this team the way that it is. But since you do have some of these assets at wide receiver and they are still young, they are still valuable, let's tier up. Let's use some of those guys to combine, and let's tier up to the next level of top receivers. So this way you can stack that out, and then you'll be rolling. Because once you stack that out, if you've got AJ Brown, Waddle, and you somehow wound up getting St. Brown or CeeDee Lamb, and on top of that get a Jeudy and a DK, I mean, now you're just dominating the wide receiver positions, you're dominating your 2 flex positions. And then all you got to do is worry about your running backs for the next, 5, 6, 7 years, because you're going to have all this young talent at wide receiver. You're going to have these QBs and the tight end. So at that point, you'll have a true dynasty. That's what we do. We try and build for the dynasty. So you're on your way to that. So that's what I would have to say there, Sammy. Guys, let me know what you guys think. You guys got any other suggestions that you think would go for Sammy here? But that's what I got for you, Sammy. Hit me up in the DMs. Let me know any other questions that you do have. And let me know what happens, of course, going into the season. And again, don't be afraid to trade these running backs. Like if you got to trade Swift to go and get, if you got to trade Swift to go get CD or even CMC, you've got time to fill out your running back positions. Don't forget, you still got the picks. You still got other running backs that you can trade. Other running backs. You still got other wide receivers that you can trade for running backs to fill that out. But, don't forget the running back position. It goes very quickly. The shelf life is not long. So we want to build around our shelf life, which is our wide receivers. That's how we're going to run deep. We're going to run, for years with the QBs, the wide receivers, and those running backs just fill in, because that's a little bit more year to year. Albert, what's up, Albert? Thanks for tuning in, brother. Caddy said, what would you rank these duos for redraft full PPR? Joe Burrow and Chase Allen and Diggs, Hurts and AJ, Mahomes and Kelsey. I mean, Mahomes and Kelsey is just insane. I mean, that's That's all they got, especially at the tight end position. That gives you such an advantage because Kelsey is like a wide receiver 1 at tight end. It's almost not even fair. So I would have to say Mahomes and Kelsey for, fantasy purposes. And then I'd go with Joe Burrow and Chase, and then Allen and Diggs, and then Hurts and AJ Brown, and then Allen and Diggs. Allen and Diggs would be last, I think, on that list for me. Not that they're not good or I don't like them. It's just that's where they fall compared to those other guys. And don't forget, Diggs is getting a little bit up there in age as well. What do you have this season? I mean, he had 1,400 yards, 108 catches, so he was no slouch. I mean, wide receiver 4. But AJ Brown was wide receiver 5. And don't forget, Hurts did miss a couple games too. So the thing with Stephon Diggs is I don't think he can have a better season. I don't think he's going to get any better than what he did. AJ Brown could possibly do better than what he did. Same thing for Chase. Obviously, he was hurt as well. So I think that's my biggest thing with Diggs. And plus, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, he was bitching on the sidelines in the playoff game. Now he's on, interviews talking about, I want to play with my brother. And his brother is like, let's get my brother over here in Dallas. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. I don't know. All right, so we've got our second dynasty team that we are about to look up here, and we're going to check that out. What is... But yeah, Caddy, how do you rank them? Who do you think is the best out of that duo? Out of those duos? Before I get into this other squad here, I really liked that first squad. I think. Let me pull it back up for a second. I think he did an excellent job drafting. I mean, being able to get Burrow and Lance. I mean, that's a steal. That's crazy. Those are top like 6 guys that come off the board, top 7, maybe 8-ish, depending how you look at Trevor Lawrence. But that's how you do it. Getting the QBs, and then he wound up getting TJ Hawk as well. I mean, that's a good squad. Probably the same ranking. Mahomes and Kelsey just have unimaginable chemistry. Yeah. And then the other, again, the biggest part of Mahomes and Kelsey is that Kelsey is a tight end. So you're getting those points, at a tight end position, which nobody else is getting, at the tight end position anywhere else, until Kyle Pitts decides to get a quarterback. But maybe, Lamar Jackson comes back and Andrews can come back into his form. But you've got TJ Hawkinson now too. Again, I just mentioned TJ Hawkinson before. I mean, what do we got? Pitts, Andrews, Kelsey. I mean, he's top 4 tight end. I mean, probably 3. I probably would rank him ahead of Kelsey just because of Kelsey's age. It's just hard to, if you got Kelsey on your squad, you're just going to ride him until he's done in Dynasty. But yeah, I think I would have to rank him behind TJ Hawkinson at this point, just because of the age. But the production is so crazy. Like, that's the thing, about rankings is, when you're doing rankings, like, everybody's a little bit different, and you have to somehow take the production that a player gives you on one side, and then you have to take the age and how many seasons or how many elite seasons that player has left at that production, and you've got to somehow come up with a value for that particular player and how you see that player valued. So, rankings are very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very dependent on the person. You can't be mad at somebody else's rankings. That's just how they feel and how they look at it. Some people value the production a lot more than the age aspect, so they like the older guys more. They still like the Stephon Diggses, they still like the Cooper Kupps, they still like the Devontae Adams. For me, I just can't have a Devontae Adams on my team. I can't have a Cooper Kupp on I'll never have a Cooper Kupp. I'll never have a Devontae Adams on my team. Once you're at that 28, 29, like at most, that's it. You're gone. You're off of my team. Not because you can't produce or I think you can't produce. It's just a simple fact that I can get maximum value in return for that player before that downfall. Because now, once they get to that, year 28, 29 age, now, you're only going to decline. The values of those players are only going to decline at that point. They're not going to increase. So I want to get out at maximum value so that I can get maximum in return, because if I hold on to that player, then I'm not going to get as much, or if anything, if that player does fall off the cliff that year. In Dynasty, it's always better to get out a year early than get out a year late. I mentioned this in one of the other, I think it was last week's stream, was the Mike Evans, right? Mike Evans, if you got out before this season, you probably got a really good return on him, possibly mid first round pick, late first round pick. Nowadays, try and get rid of Mike Evans now. You ain't getting a first from Mike Evans right now. You're lucky if you can get an early second for Mike Evans. So, that's just a value that you lose. So you always have to take that, into consideration and think about those things where, don't get stuck on, the player names, look at, the production that these players are going to put up, look at the age, look at the situation. That there's a bunch of things that go into it. And so you got to look at all these things and start to, value players a little bit differently. It's okay if I sell Stephon Diggs right now. It's okay if he goes and has another 2 elite seasons, but if I can get, a top, a mid first round pick, an early first round pick, or end a player, or just jump from Stephon Diggs to a younger player, of course you would want to do that. But again, is that guy that is the GM that has a younger player, do they want the older player? Like, no, probably not. If you've got Garrett Wilson, are you going to trade for Stephon Diggs? No. Right. So that's like the hard part is you've got to get out before it's too late, because, some of these young guys you might not be able to get, Can you get Olave? Can you get Drake London? You could probably get that for Stephon Diggs right now, just because the production, is there right now. And if that team is in a win now mode, it all depends on that team as well. Are they in win now mode? Are they, are they rebuilding? So you've got to look at those things as well, with the other teams in your league, and see what those teams are doing. What is their trajectory of that team? So, that's also a good way to find your trade partners, instead of sometimes looking at specific players, look at the specific teams and say, okay, this team has got to, this team's got to rebuild. They're just not that good. So can I buy this older player? Can I buy Stephon Diggs for rather cheap? Can I send a late first for Stephon Diggs? Like, can you send a second and a player, and get Stephon Diggs? Because that team knows that in time, Diggs's value is just going to go down and down. So, all right, let's get into the second squad here. This is Trenton's team. It feels kind of like there's just a lot of RBs, but let's look at this particular format for Trenton. This is 2 QB, so it's not super flex. I left the super flex thing on here bottom. All right, it's 12 teams, start 10, but it's not super flex. It's literally 2 QBs, so he has to start 2 QBs. You're forced to start 2 QBs. So 2 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, tight end, and 2 flex positions. We've got, in 2023, we've got the 101, the 107, the 204, the 408, and the 508. In 2024, we've got all the picks. In 2025, we've got all of our picks. Now, at the QB position, we've got Brock Purdy, Tua, and Teddy Bridgewater. This is not a good QB room, especially for a must-start 2 QB format. At running back, we've got Eckler, Cook, Chubb, and Jacobs. He's got excellent running backs. Henderson, Moss, Kelly, Haskins, and Spiller. At wide receiver, we've got Sun God St. Brown, CD, Cheetah, Amari Cooper, Mecole Hardman, Darius Slayton, and Odell. At tight end, we've got Freiermuth and Kmet. So what's some of the studs here? Some of the core players we're looking at. I think Freiermuth, I think that's just going to be one of your core players. Just hold on to Freiermuth. I think you're set at tight end. And Kmet is excellent to have there as the backup. St. Brown and CD are going to be your two core guys, and Tua has to be the core guy. That's it. None of the running backs are going to be core guys that you need to absolutely have. You may have to give them up because right now we're in a situation where it's impossible for you to win because you have one QB right now. You have Tua. So you desperately need a QB. Team needs, again, QB is really the main team need. Is really the main team need. That's really it. Trade pieces. All the running backs are trade pieces. All of the wide receivers are trade pieces other than, Cheetah and St. Brown. So what are we going to do? All right, let me think here. So you got the 101. So that will give you Bijan or a quarterback. I mean, we've got no QB. So what I would really want is I do want Bijan. I would want Bijan on my team. So I would want to draft Bijan. I'd want to hold on to the 101 if possible. But you do have a few different options. So Eckler, Cook, Chubbs, Jacobs, Cheetah, Amari Cooper. Like I said, all those guys can be traded. We need to buy a QB. So you need to go out and you need to buy a QB. Brock Purdy, most likely, at least in my opinion, is not going to be the starter next year. I think Trey Lance is going to be the starter. They might battle it out and can't, but Trey Lance is going to get another chance. So he's going to get another chance. So we've got only Tua going into next season, and Tua is not the healthiest guy. The guy's consistently getting just knocked out in games, and we don't know, what's going to happen going forward with Tua if this happens again and again. I mean, I don't know. They said he's cleared to play. They did commit to him as the 2023 starter, so I'm not worried there. But the problem is once he gets on the field and, so we don't know what's going to happen. So like I said, you've got a few different options, and what we want to do is we have to fix a QB position before you do anything else. So can we give up Cheetah and go get a QB? I mean, who's going to want to give up QBs? Again, it's a 2 QB league, so it's even harder to get a QB than Superflex almost at this point when you're looking at this particular format. So Justin Herbert didn't have a great year. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray's hurt. Those would be 3 guys I would try and lean in on and try and see if I could get those guys. Because those are guys that are elite and they're still young. You want to go a little bit older, but possibly still cheap. Daniel Jones, Jared Goff. I would prefer Jared Goff. But, yeah, you got Goff. You've got Daniel Jones, 2 other guys you can look at as well. Those would be the guys that I would be looking to buy. I don't think it's going to be possible to buy any of those other top QBs, but you can always ask. They might ask for the 101, and if you got to give up the 101 for any of those top QBs, you absolutely would give it up because that's your other option. But what I want to do is buy a QB with the running backs that you have and any of the wide receivers. That's what I want to try and do first. So if we can get a QB and solve that problem, then that would be great. Can we trade Cheetah for a first-round pick? Again, every league is a little bit different. You'll know better than me, what other GMs value players at, but you've got Jacobs, you've got Chubb. Can you give up Cheetah and Cook for a top first-round pick? Can you get the 102, 103, 104 with Chubb, with Jacobs, with any combination of the wide receivers, with the 204 possibly, with the 107? Can you give up, Chubb and the 107 and get like the 102, 103, right? Because then at that point, if you're able to purchase a QB, like I said, let's just say you're able to get, Kyler Murray, awesome. Then if you were able to move up from that 107 to the 102, 103, 104, then at that point you can draft either one of the QBs, CJ Young or Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, and now you've got 3 QBs, and then you're pretty much set at QB at that point, and you'll still have Bijan, so that will make up for it there. And other than that, I would just try and consolidate some of the wide receivers. Like that's another option you can look at too, and the running backs too. Can we get rid of, let's just say we trade, Josh Jacobs. Can we trade Josh Jacobs and the 204? And can we get, can we get AJ Brown? Can we get Jalen Waddle? Can we get DK? Can we get T. Higgins? That's another option as well. So my first option is go get a QB with any of these running backs and wide receivers. And then can we move up from the 107 to the top 4 and get another quarterback with that? So that will give you 3 quarterbacks going in. And I think that is going to play a big part in you being successful going down the stretch there. And then whatever you have left, whatever you didn't give up, I want you to come off the running backs and move that over to the wide receiver position. So you can solidify 3 wide receivers and your 2 flex positions as young elite wide receivers, and then you can fill in the running backs afterwards. But, if you were to do that, get the QBs, fill out the wide receivers with some of these running backs and come off of them, I think that would put you in a great position to compete even with only 1 running back or some scrub running backs. And then when you do get the running backs, you'll just be in a crazy position. But, you've got a lot of guys here that have some value. And again, if players in your league or GMs in your league value guys certain ways, you might still come out of this with some RBs that you'll have left there. So I think those are some of the options you have. So, yeah, let me know what happens. Let me know what you think. But that is definitely the route that I would like to go, because I definitely love to get Bijan with the 101, but you definitely need, a second and a third QB. And if you can do that by trading and then moving up from that 107 and getting you the rookie QBs, that's going to put you in great position at the QB. That's going to put you in great QB position. You're already okay at tight end. You've got 2 top wide receivers already. Well, 3 top wide receivers already with Cheetah. But again, Cheetah is getting up there in age. So if now is the time that you can come off at that top value while his value is skyrocketed before he, gets another year of age on him, that would be great as well. So if you can come out of this with 4 top 15 dynasty wide receivers, you've already got 2, so you just got to get 2 more. If you could get 2 more top 20 dynasty wide receivers or top 15 dynasty wide receivers and get one of the top 12 QBs and also draft one of the rookie QBs, I think you're going to be in awesome position to be able to compete for a long period of time. So that's the way that I would do it there, Trent. But let me know. Top sophomore running backs for next season, or sophomore players overall. Well, we've got Kenny Walker, of course. Breece Hall, once he gets back from injury, he might take a little bit. So he might take until, the middle of the season or towards the end of the season to really pick it back up once he's really healed. So for redraft, don't be discouraged if he's not performing at what he should be early on in the season. That will be a great opportunity to actually go and buy low at that point. So, of course, you've got those 2 guys at running back. Tyler Algier is going to be interesting, whether they draft somebody or not, because he is like the best running back in that room. But, he didn't have high draft capital, and with some competition, I don't know how that's going to turn out. So we've got to see what happens in free agency and what happens in the draft to see what happens with Tyler Algier. But he's a sell. Most all running backs right now are basically sells. You don't want to buy any running backs at the moment because just things change way too quickly. And we need the draft to come and we need free agency to happen before, we can know who's in what backfield, who has what role. We don't know any of that yet. So to trade for any running backs right now is very dangerous, unless, of course, it's one of the top running backs like, the Breece Halls, the Kenny Walkers, the Saquons, and those sorts. But other than that, you don't want to touch any running back right now. Dameon Pierce, another one that's going to be interesting, doesn't have the high draft capital. There was no competition for him at the running back position there. So that's another one that you want to really be careful on, and you want to get out now. Get out now while these guys still have value to people before they go and draft somebody or they sign somebody and then nobody wants to pay up to go get Dameon Pierce. So if you can go out and sell him now, Pacheco, same situation. 7th round draft pick, like they're going to draft somebody or they're going to bring somebody in. He's not going to be the workhorse guy. He's not going to be the first, second down running back that gets, 15, 20 carries a game. Like that's not going to happen. So I think we need to, fully understand that as much as we want it to happen or as much as we think that it should happen, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So Pacheco was another one there. Let's see, who else am I missing? Let me look at. I've got also some. I put out a running back video to stash as well. So I've got stashes for our running back, stashes for wide receivers. I've got those videos out. Let me see who else I'm looking for here. Cam Akers, I don't want any part of. Brian Robinson, he's going to be an RB2. He's going to be in that 12 to 16 range-ish, depending on what happens. If they could get a QB, if that offense can be decent, he should rush for over 1,000 yards. He rushed for almost 800 yards this year, and he only played in 12 games, so very well was on his way to 1,000 yards. But only 2 touchdowns rushing. Not the greatest receiving back. He can catch, but James Cook, I don't know about James Cook. Again, it depends what happens in this draft. I think they like him, but at the same time, like they can go out and draft Bijan or Gibbs very easily, and then Cook's value just shoots down. I'm trying to think off the top of my head any other sophomore running backs. Throw them out there if you got any. That's not in a I'm just looking at the actual stats right now. Let me run into. I think that was it. There wasn't much. Isaiah Spiller, trash. He's got a chance, but no. I know I'm missing running backs here. Remind me or let me know, and I'll let you know what I think. Pierce, Cook, we went over. Rashad White, he's got a chance to take over that backfield. Fournette is getting old. We saw him declining a little bit. I don't know if Rashad White's a 3-down back. I know he's a great pass catching back. I don't know if he's really the 3-down guy though. Brian Robinson, we talked about. Zamir White, meh. Most likely Josh Jacobs gets re-signed. If he doesn't, maybe Zamir White does have a role, but it's a big, what if? We don't know. And he didn't really play at all. Jacobs just took, we thought it was going to be a little bit split, but it was not. So I don't know. Pacheco we talked about, Algier. I think that's it for running backs. I mean, Davis Price, I mean, he was like a clear scratch. We could forget about him. Haskins, I mean, he's the backup to King Henry, but he looked absolutely trashed the one game that he did play. I mean, that wasn't looking good. Pierre Strong, I like. He's on my running back stash list because if the Patriots don't sign anybody or draft anybody, then they're going into next season with, Stevenson and Pierre Strong, which is possible. They're probably still bringing somebody else because that's just how Belichick rolls. But Snoop Connor was another guy on my list to hold. Could possibly be the number 2 to ETN next year. Kyron Williams, I mean, same thing. Could be the backup or number 2 to Akers for whatever's that worth. I don't love him though. Zonovan Knight's a good one to hold too. Could possibly start the season if Brees isn't ready to go. But he's kind of the clear cut first and second down guy behind Brees. I think they've kind of established that now when they wound up getting J-Rob and then not playing him. And Michael Carter turned out to be just that third down pass catching guy. Kevin Harris, another one on the Patriots, another good one to hold on to and keep. I think that's about Ty Chandler, Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they're talking about Cook going bye-bye. That very well, of course, they'll bring somebody in or draft somebody, but Ty Chandler could be the backup and due to injury could possibly see, a game or two. But I would say that would be for the running backs. Wide receivers, I mean, I'm really excited for Drake London, of course. I mean, his measurables, his advanced stats are just insane. I'm gonna make a separate video on Drake London and why to buy Drake London. But I mean, he was fifth in NFL in his target share, 29.4% target share, fifth. Target rate, 32.4%. That's his targets per route run. So how many times is he targeted for every route that he runs? He was second in the NFL. Second. It's just that they didn't throw the ball. They didn't throw the ball a lot at all. So that's the biggest issue for Drake London. And I don't know if Ritter's going to be the QB or they're going to draft somebody. But Ritter actually threw the ball to Drake London a lot. So I wouldn't be fairly upset if it was Drake Ritter. It's just the offense just won't be as good. The touchdowns probably won't be there. So I don't know. But Drake London is one of the big second-year wide receivers that I think can break out depending on what happens again with that QB situation. Garrett Wilson, of course. I mean, guy had 3 different QBs, still put up, 1,100 yards, 1,200, almost 1,200 yards. I mean, he's a wide receiver 1. Straight out. Drake London, I think, proved that as well. I think the wide receivers that came out of this class kind of really showed they can play. Chris Olave, of course, wide receiver 1 over there. Are they going to get some other competition? Are they going to bring somebody in? Most likely. But Olave is still going to be one of the top guys there. And he's young. So Treylon Burks, we didn't see as much of, but big guy. They need to somehow get the ball to him a little bit more. But, I mean, he's kind of just like A.J. Brown when he was on the Titans. I mean, you're going to have those big plays. He's going to have the 4 or 5 catches for the 120. Like, he's not going to come out with 8, 9, 10 catches, I don't think. But, I mean, he had 23% target share. So, no, what did he have? Hold on. Let me pull up Treylon Burks. That's not right. Pull up Treylon's. So I don't think his target share was that. Probably like 22, 23. Yeah, well, 23.8% target share. So, I mean, good for 30th, 31st in the league was his target rate. I mean, target share was actually only 17.6%, which was only 45th. So that wasn't good at all. But, I mean, listen, only 54 targets. Again, didn't play as much coming back from the injury. So, decent guy to buy low on. I mean, they've got nobody else there. But I think they might bring in somebody else. They might bring in somebody through the draft. So, but Burks is still, a guy you want to have. Jameson Williams, I expect something out of him. I mean, Goff balled out this season. I mean, what was it, QB9 or some shit like that? So if Goff continues to do his thing, you've got Jameson Williams, who's coming back. Didn't get much burn at all. You can probably buy him for cheap right now. You know, late first. I mean, but is the person that has Jameson Williams going to give him up for a late first? Probably not. They're probably just going to ride it out at this point. So, but yeah, Jameson Williams, you've got St. Brown there as well. You know, DeAndre Swift, they may bring in another running back, or they just re-sign Jamal Williams. I think me and Hammer talked about this, I think last week, where Swift is probably going to get that, 15 to 17 touches, and that's going to be it. It's not going to get that 20, 25 touches that we wish or we thought, he was going to have. He just can't handle that type of workload. He just gets injured and he can't handle it. So even at 15 to 17 touches a game, I mean, the amount of fantasy points he puts up like per touch is just crazy. So, I mean, I think he averaged 13 and half PPR, I think like 13 fantasy points, 12 and a half. So still scoring points. It's just, we need him on the field and we need him to be healthy. So listen, 15 to 17 is good. I mean, we saw, Tony Pollard not even get that and still put up a top 10 RB season. So, he's a guy that's just explosive. He can catch the ball and make plays. So Pickens should step up this season. His target share is just absolutely horrible. That's the one thing that worries about me, is he just doesn't dominate targets. He doesn't hog targets, and he's always making these great, crazy catches, but that's because he's not getting separation. That's my biggest issue with George Pickens, is he's not getting enough separation on his routes to where he's got to make these crazy catches because he's just not getting open. And we expected with Chase Claypool leaving town that Pickens was going to pick it up, and he didn't. So that was disappointing. This is going to be a very important year for George Pickens. So what we see come out this year is going to be important for him, especially for his value going forward and what we think he can be going forward. Because I think we all know the athletic ability, being able to track the football in the air, catch the football, contort his body, whatever. He's absolutely excellent at. But what other wide receivers were there? Jahan Dotson, I mean, I'm okay with how's the best way to put it? I'm okay with trying again, getting rid of Dotson. I know what Dotson is. I think we know what Dotson is. He's a decent wide receiver too. I don't know if he'll ever be a top 20-ish wide receiver or have a top 20 finish. It's possible. But with Terry across from him, and we don't know what's happening with the QB situation, I mean, it's going to be a little bit rough for him, especially with Terry still being there. He had some nice touchdowns. He had a lot of touchdowns, which was nice to see. But I'm okay with just selling them off for an early second or a mid-second and just taking another chance on somebody to be elite. I think that's at the point I'm with Dotson. Sky Moore. My daughter's waking up. Jesus, 11 o'clock at night. We've got, Sky Moore. I'm giving another year for Sky Moore. Sky Moore, I think, has really good potential going into next season because we've got only MVS. We've got only Sky and Tony officially signed at wide receiver. I don't think they've re-signed Juju. I don't think they need him. I think they see that. They don't want to pay him. So I don't see a reason why they would go out and sign or re-sign Juju. So it's very well that Sky Moore could have a big role going into next season. Christian Watson, I'm on the fence about. I'm probably the most not on Christian Watson as everyone else. I think that just the touchdown percentage that he had was just absolutely crazy. He's not going to have Aaron Rodgers most likely. Or if he does, that's one more year maybe. So I'm not a huge fan of Christian Watson. I wasn't coming out, but I think he's a great player. He's athletic. I mean, he's got everything going for him right now. But I don't know. I don't know. He wasn't like a heavily targeted guy. He just had a ton of touchdowns, and I don't know if that is going to continue going forward, or if I want to bet on that. He's Christian Watson is a guy I want to sell now. He's a guy I just want to sell for the pure value that people perceive him at as of right now. People have him as, a top 12 like dynasty wide receiver. I can't get there yet. I can't get there, but some people do. So if you can take advantage, he's a good sell high would be Christian Watson. Who else? Jalen Tolbert turned out to be a scrub, just a bust. I mean, couldn't get on the field. He had the perfect situation in Dallas and couldn't even suit up because he just was not good. David Bell is a good sophomore guy I like as well for the Browns, because David Bell is the slot guy now. You got Amari Cooper, you got Peoples-Jones, you've got David Bell now in the slot with now a full offseason for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson now has played, try to shake off that rust. I think he'll be a lot better. David Bell is a guy I think could really take a step forward going into next season. Wan'Dale Robinson is another guy that I like. I mean, I think the last game out, he had 10, 11 targets, 10 catches or some shit like that. So I think that, especially with that coaching staff, they know how they want to use Wan'Dale Robinson. So I really like Wan'Dale Robinson, especially for PPR. Alec Pierce was okay. I think he's a good wide receiver. I don't know about great. I mean, I'm okay with coming off of him early second, mid second. I'm okay with restarting on Alec Pierce, try and go get somebody else and take a chance there. Romeo Doubs is another guy. I mean, could be hit or miss, but I'm okay. Any second round pick I'll take for Doubs, possibly even a third at this point, especially with Aaron Rodgers most likely gone. Tyquan Thornton is a decent guy to stash. I'm just looking at all the wide receivers. Khalil Shakir, I really like if he can get that slot role going into next season, because Josh Allen loves that slot wide receiver. If he can get that slot role, and we've seen him produce in that slot role when, they had some injuries. So I do like Shakir to pull up there. I think that's about it, at least for most notable wide receivers. Yeah, that's about it there. But yeah, guys, let me know before I hop off here. Let me know any questions you guys have, dynasty trades, dynasty questions. If you need if you want your roster to be reviewed, can't even fucking talk at this point. If you want your roster to be reviewed, down in the description there, it has the email, dynastylifeforever@gmail.com. Just email us your roster. I think we are booked up for the next 2 weeks, and then, we're doing pretty much 2 a week. So get them in, we'll get yours done. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of those, and I'm basically cutting those up. I made a separate kind of show for that. It's called Dynasty. It's called Roster Chronicles, and so I cut up all the Dynasty roster reviews, edit them, and then just kind of make a separate short video so that everybody can watch those individually, so you don't have to watch the whole full, live show. But yeah, other than that, guys, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're not already. Appreciate y'all, of course, coming out and always supporting. We're going to be back to our normal Sunday night shows at 10 p.m. from now on. We moved to Monday this week, obviously, because of the Super Bowl. But from now on, we'll be every Sunday. I'll be on Thursday as well. I think I'm going to start doing Thursday nights. Also, we're going to be doing rookie mock drafts and dynasty startup drafts. So we might be going on twice a week going forward now. So stay tuned for that, especially if you want to get into that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Dynasty Life Fantasy. I'll be posting on there so we can fill up our rookie draft. We're going to do a rookie draft on Thursday, rookie mock draft on Thursday. So I'll set out, I'll put a message out on Instagram tomorrow to start setting that up. So we'll fill all of that, and maybe we'll do a startup as well. I don't know. It depends how long that it takes. But guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. But other than that, we'll see y'all next week. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.